Welcome to the Sewing Whisperer. In this quick and beginner-friendly video, you'll learn how to sew one of the most essential seam techniques, the French seam. This foundational finish is perfect for garments made with lightweight and sheer fabrics. Perfect if you're just getting started with your sewing machine or want to build confidence with core sewing skills. Hi and welcome. If you're just getting started on your sewing journey, you're in the right place. I've spent over 30 years in the fashion industry teaching people to sew, and every one of them have been able to sew with confidence. In this playlist, I'll walk you through the essential seams you need to know step by step. Let's get started. I'm demonstrating these seams on an industrial machine, but don't worry, everything I show can be sewn on any domestic sewing machine because it's the technique that matters most, not the machine. Let's take a closer look. The French seam is ideal for delicate or sheer fabrics because it completely encloses the raw edges, meaning you won't need to overlock, which can sometimes look bulky or messy on see-through fabrics. You'll also spot French seams inside jeans, particularly on scoop pocket bags, where strength and neatness matters. The only downside, it can be tricky to sew curves and is not suitable for heavy fabrics because it's so bulky. Want a fun challenge? Check a few garments in your wardrobe and see if you can spot any French seams. If you find one, let me know in the comments, especially if it was on a pocket bag. And if you'd like to follow along, there's a free downloadable pattern linked in the description below. Start by placing the fabric wrong side together. This is the opposite of a typical seam. If your pattern has a 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, sew the first seam at 5 millimetres or 1/4 of an inch from the edge. If your seam allowance is 1.5 centimetres or 5/8 of an inch, sew the first seam 5 millimetres or 1/4 of an inch from the final seam line. This ensures your finished seam sits in the correct place. In this demo, I'm using a 1 centimetre seam, so I'm starting with 5 millimetres or 1/4 of an inch. Back tack at the start and finish so your stitching doesn't come undone. Next, trim the seam allowance back to neaten the edge and reduce the bulk, especially if the fabric frays easily. Now take it to the ironing board and press the seam open. This makes it easier to fold. Then fold the fabric right sides together so the seam is on the very edge. Press again to create a crisp crease. Now stitch the second seam at 5 millimetres or 1/4 of an inch, enclosing the raw edges completely. Back tack at the start and finish again. And that's it. You've sewn a clean, durable French seam. Well done, you've just taken a big step by learning why, when and how to sew a French seam, a core skill used in many garments. In the next video we'll build on this with a flat felled seam. This technique gives your seams incredible strength, doesn't require an overlocker, and creates a beautifully polished professional finish. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you're following along with the full seam series, I'll see you in the next one.